I have the great displeasure, nay, the odious responsibility of introducing my nemesis, Mr. Jake Bible, who is there on the screen, much to my dismay.
Wait a second. He's not your nemesis. He's already trashed you so thoroughly that you're not even in his league anymore, sport.
Oh, damn.
Nice. Well, I'm glad someone finally said it. I was, just trying to be kind, drag you along, let you think, you have a nemesis.
There we go. Oh, there
and
it is.
That's the end of the show.
Ah, there we go. And now that we no longer have to worry about Jake talking, you're unmuted.
Oh, okay.
Tough crowd today.
Yeah, it's a tough crowd today. Yeah, that's what we're going for. If you don't know who Jake is the author of about a bazillion books, one of the fastest writers, most productive writers I know of. He's also from the ancient school of podcasting, like myself.
In the old days,
yeah, back in the old days,
speak into stone tablets to podcast.
No, we had to speak through a layer of pantyhose over an old Apple IIc microphone. That's what we had to do, right, Jake?
That's exactly what we had to do. That's how that worked. I still have that pop filter too.
You better not ever get rid of that pop filter. That thing needs to be, it needs to be photographed. It needs to be put in like a podcasting museum of shit you should not do, but worked.
No, I'll never get rid of that. Yeah. It's, just like my ghetto audiobook recording studio, get those air quotes in there. The studio is a styrofoam cooler with acoustic foam inside, and then I just put the mic inside there. So totally wraps it up. And if you look at something similar on Amazon, it's like $300.
Yeah, I know. I've looked at them.
Oh, no, this totally works. This is great.
I don't even have to soundproof. I just have to stay away from the leaf blowers and the lawnmowers and things
That's
like
working
that.
so well for you right now.
Oh yeah, and construction, which is why now I record audio from like 5:30 till 8 in the morning.
Oh, there you go.
Sucks hard, but that's what I have to do to get shit done.
Yeah, no, I have constant lawn care going on in our little subdivision. Not to mention the delivery trucks driving by and everything. So that in order to get anything done, I have to have the mic tucked away in its own little protective audio bubble.
It's gotten to the point where it's like, okay, I got to record another book, so I should just learn to sleep from 8 a.m. till 7 p.m. so I can get to work.
There you go. That's how that works.
And even then, you got to worry about the sirens, the airplanes, and the gunshots, and God only knows what else is going on out there.
It's because the Woodlands is a crime-ridden neighborhood, right?
Actually, it's because we are overrun with feral pigs.
Oh, okay, that's different.
I think every Bubba in like 3 counties is heading to Montgomery County so they can blast some feral pigs. I think that's pretty much what's going on right now. Anyway,
awesome.
That's what you want to hear on your lovely Saturday afternoon. You decided to join us. Scary Feral Pigs. That is your next novel, my friend.
I've thought about it. We've got feral pigs here in North Carolina too. Definitely.
Mutated feral pigs.
Yeah.
Go for it.
Okay.
Go for it. Every Texan will buy one right now.
Well, as long as I've got the Texas market locked, then
Oh yeah. You got the Texas market locked. I'll make sure of it. I'll make sure. Of it.
Cool.
It's all made by this nice gentleman up in Asheville, North Carolina.
Yeah.
Is that your Texas accent?
I was going to say,
no,
don't
that's
do
not
that
my
voice
Texas
again.
accent.
No, that's Halloween horror right there.
There you go. It's one of the only 3 female voices I can do.
That was like the Crypt
Oh,
Keeper,
that was a
Keeper's
woman.
mom.
I'm sorry, I totally missed that.
Nice.
Man, this is a vicious podcast.
Why did I invite him on the show, for crying out loud? What the fucking hell's going on? Why do I do this? This is why you're only on here every 5 years.
This is it. Yeah, exactly.
You're a masochist. You like this stuff.
I work with you. Yeah.
You're like that song
Tucker's
about
a good
the guy
one,
that
too.
has no self-esteem.
I'm just a sucker with no self-esteem. Oh,
Exactly the song
yeah.
I was thinking of. Now you've
Yeah.
banned us on YouTube for singing it.
I got to cut that out of the version that's going out to actually everybody, because otherwise, yeah, I'll end up with BMG up my ass again. And by the way, BMG, go fuck yourself. By the way, your
Yeah.
bots, go fuck themselves too. In fact, all of
Yep.
you, go fuck yourselves. Well, not the patrons, but you know what I'm saying.
No, not the patrons.
Just all the morons trolling YouTube videos looking for an opportunity to go in and make somebody's life fucked up. Yes, I love the YouTubes. Are you doing anything with that? Are you going to do anything with that?
I'm going to. Yeah, I am going to. I have. I'm going to do some live reading on there. One of my series I don't have audiobook rights to, so I can't really do much with it. But if it's just me sitting in a chair reading from my own book, that's
It's
not
not
an
a
audiobook.
performance.
Yeah.
It's not
And
a
if I do it-
performance.
Exactly. And if I do it on video, I do have all video television. I have visual rights.
I never
and all of
even.
that.
Oh, you cheeky motherfucker! Oh, that's awesome.
Oh yeah, they haven't written a contract I can't read through. Now, that's not to say I haven't signed some bad contracts. I have, just because you got to eat. But you know, I've definitely I know the loopholes in every single contract I have. Yep. I know. So I'll use it. Yeah, I think I'll do that on YouTube and use it as marketing, because hey, you know, read once a week. People are going to get bored and eventually want to just find out what the hell happens. They don't want to wait 27 weeks to find out the conclusion. So,
what are you talking about? That's a podcast. What the hell? That's what I do. Don't put shitting on me.
I'm not shitting on it. I'm not shitting on it at all. I will do it. That's what I'm saying.
You know what Paul's going to do as soon as you start doing that? He's going to start taking every episode you put out. He's going to pirate it and go in and gratuitously bleep innocent words all throughout it, just because that's what he does.
Right. Yeah. That's my modus operandi. Yeah. I'm here to clean up Jake Bible.
You should totally. Instead, you should get rid of the audio, cut the audio, and then read a different book over it. That would be awesome.
And now Jake Bible reads his favorite Pauly Cooley book. And Jake's just sitting there and a voice coming out, my voice.
Yeah, it'd be awesome. It'd be hilarious. People just be like, what the hell is going on?
I did a complete run of the first 3 books of Derelict on YouTube, an episode a day. And it was amazing how many people binged. Just absolutely binged. So it was kind of like, oh yeah. So when the black's completely done and they have all that audio, do we put all that up there as we're going to do a whole run of the entire Black series, 1 episode a day? It's going to get people there. What do you think about advertising?
I'm not doing any right now, but my main thing is because I'm kind of rebooting my career in a way. I mean, it's not really, but I have an opportunity to establish a very clean baseline and just kind of figure out what works, what doesn't, before I start putting money into things.
Fair enough.
Yeah, because it takes longer, definitely. But I think, you know, if something's working and it's free, then I'm not gonna mess with it. But I want to, you know, I want some data, and then I can start throwing an ad out here and there and whatever, and see if I can actually see a spike, see what really works, and what doesn't. So eventually, probably, but I've got to get to an income level again where spending the money makes for a good choice. Yeah.
I'm all too familiar with the concept.
Well, Paul, when you start replacing his audio with something else, I recommend you go with a Chuck Tingle novel.
I actually think Jake Bible is Chuck Tingle. I think that's actually
Really? There's a bold assertion right there.
Oh, I wish. Honestly, I wish I would take that career any day.
Over mine any day of the week. Why can't I write about perved out dinosaurs?
I know that he nailed that niche right there.
I'm gonna say phrasing, and I'm gonna leave it at that. That's all I'm gonna do.
Twice Hugo nominated. That's all you got to say. I think he
That's all
actually
you gotta
won.
say.
Didn't he win one or two? I vaguely remember that he was the winner. So there you go.
Yeah.
Wow,
Good for him.
that would be scary. Yeah, good for him. Not much else you
Yeah.
can say on that one.
No. That's awesome.
Excuse me. As someone who's in the midst of kind of rebooting their career along the same lines, you're kind of finding your way through this, getting back active and everything. What's been the kind of the biggest challenge getting things moving again?
The biggest challenge is the immense amount of work and not just getting buried under it. Yesterday, I looked at all the projects I need to tackle. And as I'm starting to get rights back, redoing stuff, covers, re-recording audiobooks, recording new audiobooks, just there's so much. And I thought I was drowning for a second there. And I'm like, I barely have anything released. How can I already be drowning? And I just had to take a step back and go, okay, this is what I'm going to do. I got to accomplish this. Then I move on to this. And then I move on to this. And then I was trying to do too much at once.
Yeah, you can't.
You can't.
You can't.
No.
You'll never get anything done. You'll be spinning your wheels and insane.
Yeah. And I'm also narrating, producing audiobooks for another publisher too. So
Dear God.
There's money. So there's that gig. That's a paying gig. So I've got to, carve out the time for that and make sure that I'm actually being productive on that. So I'm almost done with that. Once that's done, then I think it's just going to be my stuff from here on out. But it's a lot. Whew. That's why I've avoided being an indie publisher and publishing stuff myself for as long as I have.
Yeah, it kind of
Now it's caught up with you.
Yeah.
It's a real problem if you don't have anybody to help. You have to do. There's just a lot of stuff to do, and it keeps you from writing.
Yeah, I've luckily, I would say 80% of it I can do myself, so that's good. Of course, I have to have an editor. I can't edit myself. I write tight, but I am comma illiterate. So
I think we call that a commidiot. I think we call that a commidiot. There we go.
Yes, okay. That will be my official term. I should change my name in here.
Just
Just use demicolons.
Demicolons.
Yes.
I like it.
Exactly. But yeah, there's so much. There's just so much. I try not to think about it. One step at a time. That's all I can do.
I'm looking forward to the day where I can just kind of like hand off a book and go do what you do. I'm gonna be over here working on the next one. Go do what you do.
It's just not the way it works, man.
I know.
It's just not the way it works.
I need an army. I would need an army. I can't afford an army.
My opinion on that, I've been an indie publisher of my own stuff since the very beginning. And there are so many things that are not writing that I haven't focused on that I could be doing that I've been eager to hand off. I just focus on writing the books. And it's worked out for me, but there are so many other opportunities that I could have done something that I just haven't done it because I haven't had the interest to do something.
Yeah, I keep seeing things. I was like, oh, I should reach out to so-and-so and see. No, don't reach out to anyone. Stop. I don't have time for myself. Don't reach out.
First thing you need to do is get stable. Then you can worry about doing other shit.
And that's the key. I need to, because I'm still writing some books for Severed Press, closing out a couple series. Once I'm finished with that, then I'm done with all publishers. Everything is me. Like I said, I'm narrating, producing some audiobooks for a different publisher. So once I'm done with everybody else's stuff, then it's that same thing, baseline. Then I'll start just getting into a rhythm of my own production, of writing the book, sending it off to be edited, recording the audio, doing all of that, getting the covers, getting all that kind of, all the stuff that goes into it. And I think once I find a rhythm, which is probably, as I look at the workload and I'm realistic on what I know I can do, It's going to be a good year from the moment where I'm just starting on only my stuff. A good year probably before I have a solid rhythm down. Yeah, hopefully I'm not in the poorhouse by then completely.
My advice to you on that is
Yeah.
be realistic on what you think you can accomplish, because no matter how fast you think you can do something, it never works out that way. Or if it does
no.
work out
Yeah, I
that
know.
way, you're going to burn yourself hard.
Aren't you talking up to the Mr. I write a novel in 30 days,
I am
have put
talking to
out
that
12
I
books a
am
year kind
totally
of thing?
talking to that guy.
Yeah. No, writing a novel and then handing it off and walking away is a lot different than writing a novel and then handing it to yourself to do everything else.
Exactly,
that goes with that
exactly the
novel.
point there. There's so many times I'm like, gosh, I wish I could write, as fast as Jake Bible does. And I'm like, I eventually came to the conclusion, if I put out a book every 2 to 2.5 months, which is what I do, the fact that I do most of these other things, that's perfectly fine for me, and I can live with that.
Yeah, and that's what I'm looking at. Realistically, 2 to 3 months, probably 3 months. If I release a book, 4 books a year, new books a year, then I'll be happy. And I'm going to be getting all my back catalog back. So there's all of that too. New covers, going back over it and getting rid of all those typos that were still in there. People have always been
I gotta
so
get the
kind.
severed press stank off of this and, just kind of remake it. Yeah. Yeah.
What's funny is the editor / proofreader I'll be using has actually done a lot of work on my severed stuff, but they only pay for one pass.
Yeah.
And so, that's a little different, I'll be able to pay for a couple passes. I'm like, okay, we've gone through here. We found all this. Right. Let's go through it again just to double check.
Coincidentally, that's what I started doing with mine in the last couple of books is paying for 2 passes, and I'm pleased with the results.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm just going to have to do it that way just because I know what one pass looks like.
Sometimes it was more like half a pass.
Yeah. I got all my kaiju books back, and that was a series that died at book 3, planned as a 4-book series. So I'm going to write the 4th book, but part of the problem with that series was apparently kaiju fans want everything now. They do not want to wait for another book to come out. Starting with book 2, I started noticing the grumbling. In book 3, people were just like, why isn't book 4 out there? I'm never going to buy anything from this author again. How dare they? Blah, 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 and all that crap. But what's funny is I'm going to, narrate and produce the audiobooks for all of that. And I was like, since I have to write the 4th book, I will start recording, the 1st book, 2nd book, and just start doing that. And, instead of reading them and then writing the 4th one, I'll try and,
I think that's actually the best way to do it.
It would be. And then I started noticing all the typos that were still in there. And I'm like, I'm going to have to go through this manuscript anyway.
Yeah.
Again.
Might as well narrate it.
I'm going to stop narrating now. I am going to go through the books, fix the typos, and then by the time I've finished the 3rd one, I'll write the 4th one. And then while I'm writing something new, I'll start recording all the audiobooks. Which, is totally against the productivity, that I found. I was like, yeah, I'm totally going to kick ass on this. And then I realized I got to go through them again anyway. So might as well just rip through 1, 2, and 3. I'm going to be able to, fix the typos a lot faster than I would be able to record and produce the audiobooks. So I might as well just rip through them and then be able to write the 4th one. Well, that's what I was going to do. I'll rip through the first 3, fix all the typos, then have fixed manuscripts ready to go. And as I'm recording those, I'm writing the 4th one. So that's where I'm still getting a little of the productivity in there. But I just realized, my first plan wasn't going to work as well as I thought. Oh, well.
For those of you playing the DRS drinking game, we have our first sighting.
That's right. The first cat sighting. Misty's came by. I went ahead and ponied up for an annual Grammarly premium subscription
Oh, there you
And
go.
it's helped me catch a fair chunk of things in just my own passes before I
Yeah.
give chapters out to the patrons.
Nice.
I still find that audio
And then it still
narrating.
gets 2 copy editing or 2 proofreading passes once it's all done too. So
right.
nothing will find everything, but there are steps that as an indie you can go through to help make your life easier.
Yeah.
I still find narrating the book is where I catch all the majority of the awkward sentences. I find typos that shouldn't be there because I'm looking at every word.
Right. Oh no, I agree with that, and that's how I started finding a ton of typos. But then I was like, I just realized that the process of recording, because I'm recording the audio books. Definitely not. I wasn't recording the podcast. It was,
Right.
audio, and I just realized the process was just going to take too long, and I still had to write the 4th book anyway. And if I'm doing all this fixing on one manuscript, I'm going to start focusing on that was the other thing. I was going to start focusing on the typos and going and trying to fix those and start forgetting the story that I had just read, because all of a sudden, you're switching hats.
Yes.
So you're no longer storyteller, you're fixing.
Yep.
And so it's just, I realized I'm going to be able to fix it and still be immersed in the story if I'm fixing as I'm reading and just keep moving, just keep quickly, just click, fix that R, fix the your, add an apostrophe, just keep moving, which is just more like my process of writing anyway. So it doesn't pull me out of the storytelling as much as when I'm standing in front of the mic, trying to record an audiobook and going, how did you miss? There's 6 typos on this page alone. How is that even missed? How did that happen?
Oops.
Yeah.
You get so distracted that you're saying, who is this that's talking? Who is this character? I don't remember this character.
What is this?
There are times where I sit there and go,
this?
I wonder if the German translation of The Black is better than the one I wrote because of the difference in the proofreading. But I could be wrong.
I don't know. That would be good to find out. I've actually got a good friend. I've got a good friend in Berlin that I went to high school with. I should actually send him a copy and say, okay, here's the English version, here's the German version. You tell me what are the differences? What's going on here?
Well, I know it's Lucifer Verlag. I don't know if they were rebranding everything, but they put out a new cover for The Black that was really cool.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, it was kind of neat. Maybe they're seeing traction. Who knows?
Yeah, they did a new cover for Mega. I saw that for my Mega one. They haven't done a new cover for Zeburbia, but that first cover was actually pretty solid. So I don't know. We'll see. And that brings up something. Now that I'm going to be getting Zeburbia rights back, I'm getting the rights back from Severed. I guess all that translation money should be. I'm not splitting it with Severed anymore because the contract is between me and
Lucifer Verlag.
Yeah, exactly. I know.
Who gets the payment before it's split, though? You got to be careful about who's got your money going through their pockets before it gets to you.
Well, I've actually talked to the guys there over at Lucifer Verlag, so I can reach out and just be like, "Hey, this is what's going down. How do you see this working out?" And I'll tell you how I see it working out.
What we really need to do is all 3 of us need to find Chinese translators.
That'd be good.
That's what all 3 of us need to do, is find Chinese translation. That would be a big deal.
Yeah. I think
I would be banned in China in about 3 seconds flat.
Mine, yours, or Jake's, or all 3?
My social credit would be right down the floor there.
Your social credit.
I think you vastly overestimate your social credit to begin with.
Yeah, you assume there's a down to go. So,
True. I assure you, there are depths I have yet to plumb.
Oh yes, but every week I get to see you dig a little lower.
It's true. My standards erode a little bit every week.
So, Jake, are you having your English book translated into English?
He's got a specialist going through there and changing it to the British spelling.
Oh,
yeah, that's it.
There you go. That's
a lot of OU, all the OUs.
Be like the
God damn
Harry
you,
Potter
Webster.
book and have a version made for Scottish.
Oh God,
That
no.
would be awesome.
I've seen the Harry Potter version of written in Scottish. The first book written in Scottish is just absolutely
It's
hilarious.
like impenetrable. You look at the page, you're like, what does that even say?
Damn.
You know, pint of phlegm in your throat just to be able to
Oh, yeah.
pronounce place names, let alone any other words.
You wee little bairn. You're a wizard.
So what the hell are you working on these days anyway? Besides getting all this other shit done, are you actually working on anything new?
That's what well, yeah, I just got done with the 6th book in my Rogue series for Severed Press, and I'm writing the 7th book, so I'm getting that cranked out. Then I'm going to be working on all the kaiju stuff, so I've got to write the 4th book there. Then after that, I've got to write the 3rd flip side book for Severed, just so I can close out. I'm just closing out some series with them, so they aren't just hanging there.
Hanging there.
Yeah, but luckily, good old negotiations. It's not going to be 6 years from when the last book is released when I get the contracts back. Well, they're just rolling in with the series, so nothing's being extended time wise. That's the only reason I ended up doing it.
Gotcha.
Otherwise, I wouldn't have finished those series out. I would have just waited for rights and then finished the series out. But this works just as well. But yeah, then dive into the 4th kaiju book, release all of that together, the good old 1 book, 2 book, 3 book, 4 box set. And all that fun stuff, and the audiobooks and box set and everything that goes with all of that. Then I can start on something new, and I have quite a few ideas, and I have no idea what I'm going to do.
You'll leap off that bridge when you get there. This is the one time Jake Bible's going to get everything done. He's going to go down to the keyboard and go, I have no fucking idea what to write.
I've reached the internet.
Yeah.
What do I do now?
What do I do now?
Exactly.
I've reached the end of my backlog. What do I do? Start something new? What is that? I don't know what that is.
What?
Zombies ate my muse. What happens next?
Exactly. Oh, that's not the muse I'm looking for.
Well, this is technically our Halloween show, so we should probably talk a little.
Pretty scary already.
I'm terrified.
Only because your camera's on. So we should probably talk a little bit about that's better, but annoying. Plus, we'll be able to hear you breathe. The fact that you're breathing is bothersome enough. We should probably.
Sure, I don't know what you're talking about.
Oh, dude, don't do that again. I've got the bone conduction headphones. That totally just sent like this crazy shock vibration through my entire head. Stop!
They're coming
Stop! No!
As opposed to going up to the.
They're coming for you, Jakey. They're coming for you.
Oh.
What was the first horror film or book you remember?
Ooh. First horror film I remember is, of course, a hybrid, Day of the Triffids.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So, that's sci-fi. That's pure sci-fi right there, but it's
Sunday
also
afternoon.
horror. Yeah.
Sunday afternoon, Channel 13, 2 o'clock. Yeah.
There's something great about, there was always the, midnight horror shows on broadcast, television and things like that. But being, 46 years old at the dawn of cable, they were so starving for content, the cable stations. That's where I went to horror school. They just packed as many horror movies. Just horror movies that really shouldn't have been shown at 3 o'clock in the afternoon on a Sunday. I
honestly wonder if they actually screened any of the films before they popped them in the hopper, or if they just
it sounds
shot them in
fine.
there.
Let's just put it on.
Yeah. No, they're like, oh, this says TV edit. Okay, yeah, here we go. But yeah, Day of the Triffids would probably be the first movie I can remember. Yeah, and going, this is cool, because at the time I didn't realize it was a mix of sci-fi and horror. It just it scared the crap out of me. So it's horror. Book wise, that's a good question, because I devoured all of the ghost story books in my elementary school library. The fiction and nonfiction, all the true scary stories and all of those, all the ghost story ones. So I have no idea what the first book was. My first attempt at writing horror was ripping off Bunnicula.
Wow.
Oh yeah. Because we in elementary school, the school I went to, we had to once a month we had to write a book, and actually, it was like 12 pages or whatever. Basically a very, very, very short story. But then we would bind it. We would put construction paper and illustrate and bind it with actual book binding tape, and make a literal book. And I just ripped off books that I'd already read. As most authors do. I mean,
no, that never happens.
There was guilt for a long time that I pretty much just changed the animals in Bunnicula to different animals and just totally ripped off the entire plot. And I was like, oh, that wasn't very original. And then now I'm like, I'm a writer. There isn't an original idea out there, and there hasn't been for a very, very since the dawn of storytelling around the campfire, really.
Thug story.
Yeah.
Thug kill.
Ugg find beast. Ugg kill beast. Ugg go home with beast.
Yep.
Ugg do unmentionable with beast.
You're saying Chuck Tingle was available back then. I see.
Yes. Oh, what? You think there wasn't dinosaur erotica in the caveman days? What do you think all those cave drawings are? That's not a spear going into the mammoth. Come on now.
Humankind created torches and fire to look at pictures of naked women.
There was an article somewhere about explaining more about dinosaur buttholes recently. I think I now understand why.
Exactly. I'm sure the study was funded by Chuck Tingle.
It very well could have been.
I got nothing. I'm brain broken. Thank you. Do you still watch old horror movies or read all the old horror books?
I haven't read anything old in forever. I need to. I keep wanting to. I just never get around to it. But old horror movies, yeah. My daughter's really into horror too. I mean, she's in college now, but we'd watch some classics. Not that this is old, but I think over Halloween we're gonna watch The Thing again.
The original.
The
Carpenter version.
The Carpenter one, yeah.
I have to be careful.
The Thing from Outer Space. Oh, that was one of the afternoon ones.
Yeah,
I remember that. Yeah, the black and white one. Yeah. I have no idea who was in it. I really have no clue.
The guy who played Marshall Dillon, I thought. I could be wrong.
It may have been.
Arnaz, you mean? James Arnaz?
James Arnaz, maybe. I can't remember.
Not that I've seen all 20 years of that show or anything.
That was Gunsmoke, right?
Yeah, it was Gunsmoke.
I have no idea.
Okay. Yeah, Jake's like, I don't know what you old men are talking about.
Back in my day.
I've been watching Eli Roth's History of Horror, just as kind of a background during lunch. That's a Shudder series. I don't know if you've checked that out.
I haven't watched it.
So it's actually pretty good. I mean, we've been in horror for a while, so it says all the stuff that It's nothing is brand new, except there are a couple movies where I'm like, oh, I don't think I've seen that. Okay, I'll add that to the list. So that's been kind of the good one. There's a couple gems here and there. And I'm like, I literally have never heard of that old horror movie. Okay, we'll
there's a few I've seen recently. I had never seen the Vincent Price version of The Mask of the Red Death, and they had it, so I watched it.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
that's a good.
It's trippy.
Vincent Price. We're going to the actual kind of horror that I used to watch when I was a kid before slasher movies turned me off in the entire genre.
Well, isn't that is.
Here we go.
Is that Hammer or is that Corman?
I can't. Oh, it's a Corman. It's
Corman because he did all his Poe ones, and then Vincent Price was doing a few of them. So yeah, I think I've seen that. I've seen all the Corman movies. Back when
better or worse.
For better or worse. Well, I mean, at one point I wanted to be a filmmaker, and I was like, okay, well, this is how you guerrilla that. When you have no money and you want to make a movie, study Roger Corman. So, I watched all the movies.
Yeah, the last like 5 or 6 minutes of Mask of the Red Death is like an acid trip. It's so bizarre. Yeah. It is so freaking bizarre. Yeah. It's still a cool movie.
Who wrote the screenplay to that? Jack Nicholson came out of the Corman school there, and he wrote a few of the screenplays for Roger Corman, and of course starred in a few of the movies or co-starred in a few of the movies.
I was not aware of that.
Oh yeah, no, he totally. And I think, did Jack Nicholson direct the acid trip Roger Corman movie with Peter Fonda? He may have directed that. Jack Nicholson wrote the Monkees movie. Did you know that? Yeah.
My respect for him is dropping by the second here.
Oh no, come on. If you're do all this, and they like totally, have you ever seen the Monkees movie? They all commit suicide in the first scene. They jump off a bridge.
It's a good start.
It's so subverted. It's just crazy. But yeah, no, Jack Nicholson started off writing screenplays for Roger Corman and then starring and co-starring in some of the movies. He's the masochist in Little Shop of Horrors.
Yes.
Yeah. So it's like, no, I would totally take any of those gigs. And so I studied all that stuff. And so I've watched all of the Corman horror, especially all the Poe adaptations, and the tongue-in-cheek. I mean, some of those, with Vincent Price.
They're over the top.
Oh, over the top. Completely
over the top.
Sign me up for Abbott and Costello Meets.
Oh, yeah. Ooh, those are some early ones. I remember that. I may have seen that before Day of the Triffids.
Those are so bad.
Meets Frankenstein, meets Wolfman. Who else did they meet? They met the Mummy.
Did they meet the Mummy? Yeah.
I think they met the Mummy. Yeah, because they met Frankenstein. They met Wolfman. I think they met. Yeah, they definitely met the Mummy.
Did they meet the creature from the Black Lagoon?
No. I don't think they met the Invisible Man.
So many of those freaking movies were back then. They were aping were just such cultural icons of the genre.
Yeah.
So you've studied all this horror all your life. What have you learned? What are your lessons? What do you know? Distill it down into a 5-second soundbite, please. Our patrons have no attention span.
I think the one thing I've learned about horror is you cannot define it. It's individually defined. You talk to 10 people, you're going to get 10 different opinions of what is horror because 10 different people have 10 different things that scare them.
Right.
And some people are going to be like, oh no, I don't find that scary at all. Was that horror? I don't think that was horror. I was talking to someone the other day and they didn't think Alien was horror. It's just sci-fi.
Right.
And I'm like, well, no, that literally is. And then there were none. It is a sci-fi. It's a slasher movie, and the alien is the slasher. I mean,
right.
It just whittles everyone down. No, it's like, no, that's horror.
Here's to shock Paul. I went and saw Alien in the theater.
Nice.
I was
on my
young.
own, by my own choice. I went and saw it.
No wonder you're such a mess.
I saw Aliens in the theater. So yeah, I saw the second one. First one, I think I saw on, once again, the dawn of cable on HBO or Showtime. Yeah, yep. One of those. Yeah, it was one of
back in the days when MTV actually played music.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, actually. All three of us are 80s kids in one form or fashion or another.
Yeah.
So yeah, we all remember an MTV before it started to suck.
Yeah.
That didn't take long.
Actually, it took a good 10 years before it just started to suck, and then it went downhill pretty goddamn fast.
When you're my age, 10 years is just a drop in the bucket sport. It didn't take long for them to go downhill.
At your age, 10 years is like 5 minutes for the rest of us.
It's 10 years from when we started the show, I'm pretty sure.
Only because you were
I've aged
involved.
10 years. Yeah.
Oh, it looks good on you. You know, it's better for you not to be a spring chicken. You said that definition of horror. Terry and I've talked about this a couple times in the show, and he continues to tell me I don't write horror, I write suspense.
It's because I've been tainted by Friday the 13th.
There's the
Honestly,
problem.
the problem is that I got tainted by them labeling slasher films as the majority of horror at a certain age in my life. That's all I saw was all the slasher films.
Right.
So I can tolerate reading and doing other things that are horror as long as they're not, you know, blood gushing all over everything just gratuitously. I love suspense type stuff. I can deal with that. Mm-hmm. But the blood turns me off. The slasher flicks turn me off.
Yeah. No, I get that. They've I don't know the last one I watched. They had their time. They had their moment. They definitely, you know, laid a good foundation of, you know, I mean, there's some amazing characters. There's also,
we wouldn't have the Scream franchise without them poking fun
right.
at it.
Oh yeah, totally. Watching that history of horror thing, something I didn't know about Friday the 13th. You know, the gotcha question: who's the bad guy in Friday the 13th?
Movie. Yeah,
in the first movie, and everyone goes Jason. It's like,
it's Jason's mom.
Jason's mom. Jason doesn't show up until the final, you know,
scene, clip. And he's not Jason.
Yeah. And so here's a great trivia. If you really want to, you know, nail people, it'd be like, okay, what movie did Jason Voorhees show up with a hockey mask?
It's number 3, isn't it? Or is it number 4?
It is number 3. Number 2, he has a burlap sack with holes cut out of it. And I had blocked that out. I'm watching the show going, oh, I totally forgot. So, I mean, yeah, Jason Voorhees is the killer in the second one, but he's not Hockey Mask. It's the third movie. Jason in 3D with Corey Feldman.
Oh, God, that's right.
Yeah, it's Corey Feldman, little Corey Feldman that's in that.
That's like the lightning strike and all that shit. Yeah.
And so it's like that's a good gotcha trivia question to nail people who, you know, think they know everything about
they
horror.
know horror. Well, I've seen Scream. I know this. They ask that trivia question and then somebody dies because they can't answer it properly. So
there you go.
Yeah.
For people like me, you know, you could recognize the horror icons. You can recognize Freddy and the things going on. You can recognize that. I don't even know what series is the one that's all about pain that has all the needles sticking out of his face.
That's Hellraiser.
So you can recognize certain things about it, even if you don't consume it.
Yeah,
it's everywhere.
Oh, definitely. Oh, you bet. Yeah, certainly. But
so then the question is to you, Terry, do you consider Alien horror?
It has elements of horror. I consider I'm a little bit of a hair splitter. I consider it. I went to see it because I thought the spaceships were cool. I thought the science fiction aspects were cool.
I think that was the first.
And I was willing to tolerate the horror portion of it because I thought the rest of it was cool. So I'm not sure that I actually qualify as a horror reviewer for it. But I like John Carpenter's The Thing for what it was. I think that may be my favorite experience as far as
fucking good
horror.
It completely holds up. Last time I watched it with my kids, and they were teenagers, so full snark was available at any time. They could have torn it apart. And I remember them sitting there and they're quiet and just watching it. And like halfway through, my son just kind of looks over at me and goes, "This is good." Like, I know you were surprised, weren't you? This is a good one.
This is
great. All the practical effects and how many monsters and different incarnated, all the stuff that goes on. You know, I mean, my daughter's an amazing artist and she's definitely my horror kid. She's the one that just loves all the macabre. And I mean, she was 3 and would beg to watch, you know, Tim Burton's Corpse Bride. I mean, that's her aesthetic completely. You know, Corpse Bride, Daddy. We watch Corpse Bride now.
You've raised Wednesday. Thank you. You've raised Wednesday.
No, it's great. Yeah, except she's blonde. But you know, but
she's made
just
with real Girl Scouts.
Exactly. Oh
Jesus Christ!
But no, she looks at the effects at the thing and is like, "That's gross." that's oh shit, that happened. Oh crap. And I mean, it's The Thing will go down as one of those masterpieces that, they did a prequel, but you can't remake it. It's
not
done.
No. You can't. You can never remake that film. Carpenter. You'd have to reimagine it completely.
Yeah. And I mean, I don't know why you would reimagine. Why? Just walk away.
Wasn't it a remake of doing a previous iteration of somebody else making it? I thought I heard that somewhere.
The Thing from Outer Space was the original movie. He took the concept and warped the shit out of it. And it's all based on a short story called Who Goes There?
Which is actually a movie too. They made I'm pretty sure Who Goes there is a first movie iteration, and then there's The Thing from Outer Space.
That's what I had heard. I heard that, but I've never seen
Carpenter's. Carpenter's is the third version. I can't remember what the first one is, but yeah, Carpenter's is the third version.
So there's 4 effing versions out there. Is what you're telling me?
No, there's 3 versions. There's a prequel.
And let's say, look at those awesome special effects.
Yeah, instead of making remaking The Thing, they made a prequel to it.
The fourth one.
Yeah, which I thought it was a fine prequel. I was glad they weren't.
It does a good job of filling in the stuff that they figured out in the second movie and actually showing you how it all went down. I understood that. The fact they didn't use practical effects pissed me off.
Well, yeah.
Yeah, what are you going to do? What are you going to do?
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, I don't think if I were a filmmaker, I would never in a bazillion years want to touch actually remaking The Thing. You would have to go back to the original short story and probably make that movie.
Right.
And call it something else. Because, yeah, Carpenter just nailed it. It's one of those masterpieces that I honestly think, like, in decades down the line, if you look at the top 10 movies, you've got to put The Thing in there. Because it's gotta
be my most favorite monster movie of all time. Which is essentially what it is. You strip off all the science fiction bullshit, trappings, and the fact that they're trapped somewhere and yada yada. It's a goddamn monster story.
Yeah, but if you look at the 50s and all the monster movies that were there, they're all sci-fi. Mm-hmm. It's all something gets mutated, something lands from a comet, somebody takes a serum, somebody does something. I
blame Hiroshima for all of this because the nuclear age completely sucked the 50s and 60s into that entire thing.
Yeah. But I mean, it's the mashup has been there from day one. I mean, really considered the first science fiction novel is Frankenstein, which is also horror.
It is definitely horror.
It's also horror. The first zombie book too, because this is a reanimated corpse, scientifically reanimated, but that Frankenstein's monster is a zombie. That was dead flesh brought back to life.
Okay.
Yeah.
You're an evil individual for bringing that up to me because,
Did you see I, Frankenstein, which was totally not horror?
The what?
Did you see I, Frankenstein, which was totally not horror?
Oh, you mean that was the Corman one?
No, there was one recently.
Recently? Was there? Oh,
yeah, it's just a few years ago. I can't remember the guy's name. He's been on stuff all over the place, but yeah.
No, I haven't seen that.
It was more like a metaphysical superhero movie in a way.
Oh, okay.
Fighting against the demons that are trying to take over the world, blah, blah, blah.
No, I haven't seen I, Frankenstein.
It's definitely not. I was just warning you. It's not a horror movie.
Oh, okay.
Which do you prefer, Jake? Do you prefer the creepy suspense type stuff where you don't see the monster till the end, where you just get glimpses, or do you like the viscerality of seeing every kill and all the wounds and all that kind of stuff?
It's whatever my mood is. It's like do I want tacos tonight or do I want, General Tso's tofu? It's, which they're two totally different things.
Well, that's right. I forgot you were one of those V people. God, I'm one of those. I forgot so much about my nemesis.
I don't eat the meat, but it really depends on the mood. I like them all. I like a good movie. I think as filmmakers have learned, and especially those that are horror is low budget, just because that's just kind of how it is. And I mean, that's why Blumhouse has exploded. That's why there's these legendary studios, that you can talk about. Yeah, all of that, because they cranked them out as cheap as possible, and then some would hit. So you get a talented filmmaker with a really low budget. Boom. I mean, look at the original Evil Dead. I mean, they made that in a crappy cabin out in the middle of the woods,
and it looks it. All of it looks it. The story, the acting, everything. Looks it.
It looks it, but you don't stop watching it. I mean,
I don't stop laughing.
Oh yeah, and but some of those. What's crazy about it is, of course, the cinematographer was Barry Sonnenfeld, who would go on to be the cinematographer for the Coen brothers, and then go on and make Addams Family. And all of that. So, I mean, you have these innovators. I mean, that camera going through the woods and up and over stuff is a camera bolted to a 2x4 with one guy on each end running and literally lifting it up. And it's brilliant. It looks so good. How many filmmakers watched that movie and went, how the hell do you do that? I got to do that.
We were at a con. I think Terry was at that con. There were some horror movie guys are working on an indie flick, and they had created their own Steadicam, and this guy was so proud of this goddamn contraption that he literally would just put on as a vest, and it kept the camera. He didn't matter how hard he stepped or anything else, the camera was straight the entire time. And they made it for like $200 or something and put like a GoPro on it.
Yeah. And
they were able to make their movie, their slasher flick or whatever it was they were making, that was basically trying to jumpstart, let it, somebody give us some money so we can do something bigger. And that was fascinating. And it is absolutely positively the absolute case with horror books and horror movies. They're usually the easiest damn things to make because the budget doesn't have to be huge.
The budget doesn't have to be huge.
The sets usually aren't.
Yeah, it forces creativity and inventiveness. And I think the horror genre really, unless you're talking like a full-on intimate, just dialogue-driven art piece, the horror genre is the best low-budget genre because you can still, I mean, you may not have a lighting director, and so you're lighting stuff with crappy incandescent and trying to, people's mistakes end up being their triumphs in
so they end up being iconic and used in other places.
Exactly. So it's one of those genres and it is one of those that the worst can be the best. What you are forced to leave out is what people remember the most. People will constantly say, whatever movie, you can pick a movie. Oh no, I remember when the monster first showed up, it was terrifying. And you're like, the monster, you never see the monster in that movie. Oh no, you do. No, you don't.
Not in its entirety.
You may see a fingernail, you see a claw, you might see a reflection of an eye, but you actually never see a full-blown monster. But you think you do, and that's brilliant. That's great.
Back in the 90s, you talking Evil Dead, one of my friends dragged me and a bunch of other people out to see Army of Darkness.
Oh yeah.
And I was like, oh my God, I do not want to go see a horror movie. And they're like, oh, you're going to love it. And they meant to take me there and torture me. And I ended up being the only one to have a terrific time at that movie. While they were all horribly disappointed, I was like, yeah, that was actually pretty good.
Yeah, because nobody else was expecting a Harryhausen, 60s stop motion crazy bullshit kind of movie. They weren't expecting it.
Oh yeah, and it was totally, and that's the great thing about the Evil Dead ones. Each successive movie spoofs the movie beforehand. Evil Dead 2.
Oh God.
Really,
first 5 minutes.
It is the first movie. You don't have to watch the first movie to watch the second movie because he rewrites it, condenses it into the first 5 minutes of that movie, and then
adds more stupid to it.
And then
a ton more stupid,
kinds of crazy stupid, and some of the greatest stupid. It's just
it's like the first movie they were trying to do it seriously, and then they realized, oh God, what did we do? And it's like the second one, they just went, all right, well, if we're gonna go camp, we might as well go full tilt.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
And that's
Well, and if your star, who's going to be in basically the majority of everything, is Bruce Campbell, you're going camp. I mean, that's all there is to it. I mean, you can't deny the power of the chin. I mean,
the power of the chin compels
bunch
you.
of whiny little girls.
Exactly.
Who's your favorite horror writer these days?
I don't know. I actually haven't read a ton of horror lately. It's been a while. Gosh, I'm trying to think. I've been reading mostly thrillers and crime and nonfiction. I really haven't gotten into much horror. I need to. I want to. I've got so much going on that actually, I mean, like currently I'm not reading a book. And the last audiobook that wasn't nonfiction that I tried to listen to, I realized 3/4 of the chapter would be gone. And I'm like, I have no idea what just happened. My brain is somewhere else.
Yeah,
so I don't know.
When I'm walking right now, it's like I'm trying to get into an audiobook, and 2 minutes into it, I'm already thinking about something else. So it's.
I would say the most recent. I mean, Paul Tremblay. I'm digging all of his stuff. I haven't read the latest, but what's the Cabin at the End of the World? Or is that what it is? Whatever it's called. That was outstanding. And actually, the last horror I read is a good friend of mine here in town, and he wrote a short story that was like 17,000 words, and he's like, I don't know what to do. I'm like, well, that's not a short story. That's a little long. He's like, do I expand it or do I cut a bunch? And I read it, and there are literally a couple parts in there where I had goosebumps. I'm like, oh no, this is a novel, dude. So I'm actually helping him turn it into a novel. He's never written a novel before, but he's been an English teacher for 20 years. So he understands.
You're going to have to work real hard to help him get over that.
Oh no, don't worry, because he's also been a debate coach. So he understands how to just tear
shit his way
apart.
Through anything.
Oh yeah, and just tear it apart. He understands that. I mean, he gets it. This is the only reason I'm helping him. If it was going to be a trial, I'd be like, I do not have the patience for it. But it's funny because he looked at me and he's like, really? A novel? I don't know if there's. I mean, is there a market for queer-based horror and haunted house right now? I'm like, dude. This is why I'm encouraging you.
Haunted house horror is big right now, and then you add any other thing to it is going to definitely strike right now.
Oh yeah.
We called it a few years ago that the ghosts and the haunted houses were coming, and everybody was like, "What are you talking about?" Like, well, here we are.
Yeah.
Vampires are going out, zombies are going out. Now we're going to get this haunted house phase for a little while the creatures still pop up all over the place, and it seems like more sci-fi horror is coming out again.
Yeah,
I don't know what it's gonna look like.
I'm digging the haunted house trend. I've definitely been digging Mike Flanagan's, Hill House and now Bly Manor on Netflix, doing a great job with those.
My wife has been watching that. I've seen bits and pieces of it. It's pretty awesome.
It's pretty awesome. I actually think there are bits of Hill House that Hill House, The Haunting of Hill House, of course, is a classic story. I mean, it is almost the haunted house story in a way. But Bly Manor, which is based on Turning of the Screw, the characters are more fleshed out. I like the ending better. There's a few things. They're very different, which is great. It wasn't just a cookie cutter thing. I'm glad that American Horror Story has been out long enough that people have learned that anthology series can be different season to season. So I think that definitely helps, that you can take a totally different tone in this, in Bly Manor than what was in Hill House. But it's outstanding. It really, it's worth sitting down and watching. I mean, it's character driven. It truly is big time.
One of the scenes that I watched in it being, she's watching it and I'm going in and out of the room looking at it, and the nanny that sees the ghost of her dead fiance is being basically threatened by the two ghosts that children can see. And then one of the ghosts the children can see gets pulled away. And I'm like, wait a minute, they're going back to the station. Is the ghost being haunted? Something is haunting the ghost? And I'm like, my
Layers upon layers of crazy.
there.
Yep. Yeah. Oh yeah. It's crazy. It's good stuff. I'm digging that. And yeah, I am digging the haunted house trend. We need good just ghost stories. Just good old classic ghost stories. Not having to invent any monsters, not having to invent any crazy stuff. Just let the energy of the dead just totally mess with you.
I don't write that kind of thing, but I pitched this idea a couple of years ago to Paul, saying that I wanted to see a ghost story where this was when the Ghost Hunters was the big craze going on, may have been 4 or 5 years ago. And I said, I want to see the story told of the ghost hunters in this house, dealing with all the ghosts. And they find out most of the way through it that they're actually dead and those are real people and they're the ones haunting them.
Nice.
That's like The Others to a certain degree. Do you remember that one?
Yeah. That is the twist of that. Yeah.
That was a pretty good
They're not
one.
ghost hunters. They're just...
No, they're ghosts. There's a game out called Phasmophobia. I think I tagged you in that. It would be... I would love to play that with Ed Lorne, Jake Bible, and Scott Sigler. I doubt I could ever get Stephen King to play it, but I would love to get these 4 miscreants together. It's basically you play the ghost hunters, and the ghosts can kill you. And you were there to do certain tasks and figure out what kind of ghost it is. And if you piss it off too much, it will come find you.
Nice.
But it will appear out of nowhere. It will whisper in your ear. It will do all sorts of crazy shit. And the houses, the places are always dark as pitch.
Ooh.
And then you'll be walking through and suddenly a portrait or something will start moving behind you, getting dragged by a desk. It's fucked up.
Nice.
Well, like an ultimate horror game. Here we go.
Nice. There you go.
For years, my wife watched the Ghost Hunters and all of those particular little variants of that going on. And the one thing that strikes out at me is them going through the houses doing this. We're talking, this is a ghost and whatnot. And they had one of the guys come up behind the other one with an air horn. I would have shit my pants.
There's been a lot of movies about the ghost hunters too. You had oh my god, there's so many I've watched. Hell House LLC. There's 3 of those. There's
you have all the Insidious has got the the Insidious series slowly became more about the ghost hunters, which was cool. I was like,
which was fine.
Yeah.
They had a pretty good canon there to work with, but they had to kind of screw things up because of the way the first one ends. Oculus was another really, really freaking great flick about a haunted mirror. God, that's an excellent movie. They made that for nothing. They made Sinister for nothing. They made Insidious for nothing.
Yep.
And people love the stories because the stories are really well done.
Yeah. They're a great job. I mean, the Insidious franchise, that is, James Wan and Lee Wannell, who did the first Saw.
Yep.
The one that wasn't torture porn.
It wasn't completely torture porn.
No, it wasn't. I mean, it really wasn't. And the rest are. They totally get. That's getting into. It's the syndrome of the studio going, hey, this is what people really like. They like the torture part, not the story part. It's like Freddy Krueger eventually became the ultimate one-liner, and stopped being scary. You're just waiting for the bad pun.
Yeah, it's pretty much the way it got with Sylvester Stallone and Arnold Schwarzenegger movies. There really wasn't anything there. You were just there for the one-liners and the boobs, and that was about it.
Exactly.
Saw, was that the one where they tied up somebody and strapped them to a table saw in the basement, and when the guy came in and flipped the lights on, it turned the saw on, and there was lots of screaming?
No.
I remember that scene. I can't even tell you what movie that's from, but I remember that like, oh, that's horrible.
That sounds like a Friday the 13th.
I don't know what that is, but that's great. I like it. That's a wonderful idea.
What a noise I hear down there.
When suddenly all the power tools in the room come on at once. Yeah. Time to get the hell out of there. Something bad's about to happen. Something very, very bad. What's the most difficult part about setting up a horror scene for you?
Is
there a difficult part? Or is it just kind of
no, I think the difficult part for me, and this is probably in a lot of my writing, but especially for horror, because it is the other side of the coin of comedy. Because, you know, you watch people get scared and then chuckle afterwards. Oh, I got scared.
I'm such an idiot. Oh. And then the axe comes down.
And it's all
behind
about
him.
timing. It's the exact same time. The kill is the punchline. You know, you have literally are following that same arc. So I think the hardest part for me is not bleeding over into slapstick, not bleeding over into the comedy, is trying to keep it straight scary, which means you have to pull back. You constantly have to pull back. Everything my mind wants to do and put in there and just go, scare, realize that that's not going to be scary. You got to strip away. So it's as minimal as possible. Because if you put too much in there, then you're just basically adding, you know, you're putting your reader in a nice little safe bubble. And you don't want to give them too much information. You want to give them as little as possible to keep driving the story. So that's the hardest part for me, is just keeping it stripped down.
I want them to hear the thump of the severed head hitting the floor in the darkness.
The wet, meaty thump.
Wet, meaty thump. And then not to know what it is. The reader knows. And then the lights come on. And you don't have to do anything else. You just do not have to do anything else. You just have to mention it's a severed head of a loved one or whatever else. They'll fill in the blanks for you.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So, and that's the hardest part, is not filling in the blanks for them. You know, especially hopping genres the way I do. There's some genres you have to fill in all the blanks, otherwise the readers get very angry.
If you're writing zombie, they're going to want some visceral stuff going on.
Well, and then it also depends on which horror trope you're working with. You've got, you know, different things. I think the haunted house, the ghost ones are the hardest, because you are dealing with it's more character driven, and you're dealing with the unknown, and you have to keep it the unknown for as long as possible. I think zombie stuff, of course, is just, you just get gore, just pure gore gunk, get crazy on all of that.
See the Apex trilogy for more information on that. I believe I remember some hosing somebody out of a cockpit, but I could be wrong about that.
No, there was definitely the hosing of the cockpit. Yep.
You ever get in trouble when writing horror, mixing and matching the various major tropes of it? Do you run into the people where you're writing a haunted house and you dare put a slasher in there or something else where it just makes your audience explode? Is that a thing?
It might be. I don't know. I think, if you
promise a monster, there better be a monster.
Yeah, there's that. I think unless you've got an amazing reveal and twist, if you subvert the reader's expectations too much, you just end up pissing them off. The subversion you have to execute extremely well. Which it's kind of like one reason Stephen King didn't like Kubrick's The Shining is because Jack Nicholson starts off creepy Jack Nicholson from the first scene.
Yes. There's nowhere for him to go.
There's nowhere for him to go, and which is fine for some people, you know, who are going to see a Jack Nicholson movie. So they're like, yeah, there he is. But for fleshing out the real character of that story, that arc, it wasn't there.
Well, you can't do that book justice in 2 hours anyway. You just can't do it.
No,
you can't do that book justice in 8 hours. It is just such a fantastically complex and nuanced work that I just don't think you can capture every bit of it. And it's not nearly as terrifying as the book is. The topiary scene, if that doesn't fucking make you want to scream and go into the closet and hide, I don't know what will.
I was a freshman in high school riding the city bus to school that morning when I read that scene. So I am on a well-lit public transportation filled with other kids and adults going to work and all this, plenty of people. And I literally felt so so cold and so alone and scared shitless. I just reading that scene in public, and I'm just like, ah.
Yeah, I was
And
reading
remember
that
just
when I was out on a sailboat, in the sunshine and everything else, reading that book and just going, wow.
And then the cloud went over the sun.
Dude, you just don't understand. You have to read that scene. It is, if you don't
The
read
topiary
anything
scene
else out of
is-
The Shining, you don't have to know anything about the characters. You start in that scene and go through, you will just sit there and go, what the fuck?
Yeah.
It's just so well done. It's well done.
We actually as a family, listened to the Shining audiobook as we were driving out to Colorado, because we were going to, my wife lived in Estes Park for a couple years.
No,
in middle school.
old Stanley.
So we were going to Estes Park and then going to do the Rockies and all that. And we were going to do ghost tour at the Stanley. And so we listened to The Shining, and that topiary scene comes up in the audiobook, and the sun is starting to go down.
Oh,
And I can't remember. I think one of the kids was kind of like, I think I'm ready for something else now. Like, yeah, I think we're good at.
can you put on some Barney?
Yeah. But they were much older. Trust me, they were definitely old enough to be listening to The Shining. Not a problem. But yeah, it's like that. It just grabs you. They're like, that's not like the movie. It's like,
no, it's nothing like the movie.
It's
The movie is
not
nothing
like
like
the
the
movie.
book.
Yeah,
Fear the book.
You should fear the book.
is-
The book is so excellent.
the book is outstanding.
Just amazing.
Yeah.
But be that as it may, I hope one day to write something like that will just that is that monumental and will make people feel that kind of all the way through, because that book is just so brilliant.
Yeah. that is one of my goals, is to write just such a great, just straight horror novel. No bells, no whistles, no zombies, no nothing, just no real tropes, just something just scary,
Creepy, suspenseful.
Yeah. But that's one of those things where I've got to write a few more books and then have a little bit of career just kind of coasting well enough that I can then dive into that and not care.
What does a horror story without tropes look like? I don't know that I even can put that square in my head. I don't know.
I know what he's saying. I know what he's saying.
Yeah, it's where it's not, the trope isn't the central part.
It isn't the focus.
It's not a vampire book.
Okay.
It's not a Wolfman book.
Or a
it's
creature
not
book.
Creature from outer space book. It's not that. You don't quite know what it is. It's where there could be tropes in there, but they're supporting the overall story. They're supporting things. To go back to Paul Tremblay, the God, what was his first one? The Ghosts one, Ghosts in My Head. God, I can't remember any of the things. It's kind of it's in a way, it's an exorcism, a demonic possession book, but it's not, but it is. And it kind of subverts that trope, and that trope, the trope is the background, sort of the foundation, but it's not the focus and the character itself. It's not that. So I think that's kind of where you could point to a trope in any book, of course, but it just isn't what drives it. It's there to support what's driving it, if you're using anything, that way. So yeah,
look at the names.
That's why it's hard.
Your books, for instance, you have kaiju in titles.
Mm-hmm.
I've got The Black. It's not about any of the characters. The focus on the marketing is the monster. It's not about the characters. The marketing, what drives people in, is the monster. It has absolutely nothing to do with anything around that.
Yeah.
Even though the book would be damn boring if it was just the monster. And hopefully, the characters are good, and that also makes the story good, and the creature is good. Right. But they come for the creature.
Yeah.
Are there any creature stories where you've got it starts out like your normal creature story, where you've got the human being hunted by whatever it is, and then you find out there's something much worse than that other, and the monsters start getting hunted? just want to know.
Jurassic Park, anybody?
I don't know about that.
I don't know. There probably is, because there's a version of something somewhere.
It would be hilarious watching a movie where you've got your vampires hunting the humans, and then suddenly something really ugly starts hunting the vampires, the humans are already dead. Now you're just following the vampires who are all being exterminated and trying to figure out what the hell's going on with them.
Yeah. Well, in a way,
Cannibalistic
isn't that
monsters are
Predator?
good. Yeah, kind of is. Yeah, that's.
I mean,
yeah,
when you
you're
think
right.
of it,
You're right.
you've got the monsters are the mercenaries who are not good people, and then they end up getting hunted by a way worse monster. So it's kind of, I mean, I wouldn't call Predator horror. It's definitely full sci-fi. It's sci-fi creature feature. You could say that, but it's kind of along those lines where, yeah, you've got a group
Get
of
to the
bad guys.
chopper.
Tapa.
It's like Predator versus Alien. You know, the humans unleash it, and the humans are caught in the crossfire because they fuck up and
Right.
make it all happen. And now they've got two sides trying to kill them.
Oh,
One
you
that's
made
trying
it
to-
so much better.
One that's trying to keep them from getting turned, and the other ones who are trying to eat them or turn them. So yeah, the humans just get screwed, as they should. And I think that's the other part of that is you stack the deck so far against them, and then you just split the threats. It's a wonderful thing.
It's like you get to the depths of the horror novel and you got the human guy going, really? Seriously? This now?
I think it's one reason. I mean, you have, like, in horror, you have there's a lot of children who, if they aren't the protagonists, they are, you know, they do need to be protected and saved because you care about, you know, children. You don't want children being eviscerated. You don't, you know, but really most adults, I think we look at the other adults and go, well, you probably deserve this for some reason. I mean, you did something. Come on.
If the writer did their job right,
that. So
if the writer did their job right, the person deserved it anyway.
Yeah, exactly.
Good, they eat the bad people too. Yes.
Yep.
Sometimes first.
The monster could be doing a community service and hunting serial killers.
Well, Dexter is a monster.
Well, yeah, that's true. Dexter.
Yeah.
Dexter would work for that.
Dexter is a monster. He just happens to be a human monster, but he's still a monster.
Yeah.
Just because his goals in life are so antithetical to just about everything that we've been taught since the time we came out of the womb that it makes him into a creature that is not human.
A creature of human flesh.
He's human, but mentally he's not. He's not even close to being what we would consider human or functional human anyway. Or social human. I don't know how exactly to describe that, but he is if you know, and if you read enough of the crap out there on the psychology part, is it's possible serial killers exist because of overpopulation.
And you talk about me not liking horror. I've watched all of Dexter. So there you go.
No,
I don't consider, well, Dexter's got horrific parts to it, but yeah, I wouldn't say it's horror.
I see.
I wouldn't say it's horror.
Yeah, it's a cross, because I mean he is there's so much, I don't want to say procedural, but there's so much police work in it, and the characters are so in depth that, I mean, it really it's a subverted cop drama in a way, police drama in a way. I mean, it really is.
And if you look at the violence that actually occurs in the shows, it's only like 5 minutes per episode, maybe.
Oh yeah,
maybe.
Yeah.
Usually we only see him get 30 seconds with the killer.
Yeah, I guess you could definitely call it more of it's a dark, horrific suspense thriller series, because the suspense is you don't want him to get caught, and basically every
and you
5
don't want
minutes
to be cheering for the serial killer, yet you are.
You're absolutely rooting for him. And
you're rooting for him to make it. Yeah,
in the first season, when he goes up against Dokes, or is that the second? I guess the second season when he goes up against Dokes, that's really tough on the viewer, because they've spent that entire season humanizing Dokes to the point where you actually kind of like him.
Mm-hmm.
And then they put you in that horrible situation of, oh God, somebody's going to die here. Mm-hmm. And we think we know who it is, but it does its job very, very well because of the way it's.
I mean, it's the Hannibal Lecter thing. It's do you want Hannibal Lecter to be caught, killed, and executed, I mean, then you don't have Hannibal. No.
Yeah,
If you watch the Hannibal TV series, you want him to be caught, but you don't want it to end. You just kind of want to keep that relationship going. That intertwining of messed up psyches is what's driving it the entire time. So
I think the last line that Thomas Harris gives Hannibal in Silence of the Lambs was the most brilliant. That I like the idea of the world better with you in it, or something along those lines. And that really left that hole open. And I think that that's the way it needs to be. If there's a character like that, I think it's better to let them right off into the sunset and people wonder when they're going to come back. Not to end them. The threat just kind of disappears and may come back later. Yeah. It's still out there.
Yeah. Because I have been reading a ton of crime and talking to other crime authors and things like that. So following the crime rabbit hole, which instantly, you end up getting led to the serial killers because they are really true, real monsters that live here. It's funny how many crime writers are like, we only know about a fraction of the serial killers out there, because all the ones that we know about are the ones that either screw up and get caught or want to get caught so they can have their moment of fame. What about the introvert serial killers that don't want anyone to know, don't want to be bothered at all, and are doing everything perfectly and will never get caught? There are a few out there. There's probably quite a few out there.
A true narcissistic,
is kind of scary.
A true narcissistic sociopath. An absolutely true narcissistic sociopath.
Yeah.
Somebody who is never themselves and very
genius, because they have to not get caught. And it's hard these days to not get caught. We've got so much technology and ability to just narrow it down and at least narrow down the field, at least put someone in crosshairs as a suspect.
Yes, but a smart sociopath will find ways around that using their own technology against them.
Yeah.
So going into the future, as technology and the unfortunate tracking of people just keeps going, what's a good serial killer to do to go hunting? I mean, really, it's going to become so hard.
Actually, it's not. It's very, very simple. If you're constantly broadcasting your location, all I got to do is wait for that one time you go to that one garbage bin that I've watched you go to for the last 3 weeks, every Wednesday at 9 a.m., and we'll take care of the problem.
But then you've got the video
my garbage at 9 a.m.
the way that's caught you.
I know how you go because you're dumb enough to post it on social media. And I've also hacked your password, which was password, by the way, and infiltrated your public Wi-Fi, whose password is also password.
4, 5, 6, 7. Come on.
Exclamation point. You got to put that at the end. Yeah.
My point is that it's a lot easier than you think it is in this day and age. And if somebody's got some brains, it's not very difficult to socially engineer ways out, if you really know what you're doing.
The hard part now is the surveillance state. We're not as bad as the UK, but there's enough private paranoia in this country that there are security cameras. Something is recording something almost everywhere at all times.
Which is why you're supposed to go to shopping centers or someplace like that to do eBay handoffs or whatever it is, Craigslist, whatever, because they have areas with the cameras to make sure nobody's ripping anybody off.
It seems like the place for, your socially conscious serial killer to go hunting is rural areas, because you're not going to have all the cameras watching you.
That is very, very true. That is very, very true. Truck stops, as long as you get out of the truck stop main area where the trucks go park across the street, so I have to pay the service fees for parking in the lot, that would be a great place to hunt.
He says just off the top of his head.
Not that he's been thinking about this at all.
Old childhood friend of mine.
Are you a serial killer?
Old childhood friend of mine drives 18-wheelers for a living. So we've had this discussion about how easy, dead fucking simple it would be to do it. Because of the way the schedules work and everything else, you could get away with it for a while.
And considering, the wealth disparity that we have in our country now, There are areas of every urban center in this entire country that have zero tech,
Yeah.
that have zero, because people just, don't see it as worthy of protecting. Therefore, it's not under surveillance. So that leads to, that there's, demographics you can target just simply because they're poor, and the surveillance isn't going to be there. So it's the rural stuff to a certain extent. But you also have to watch out. That's where tables can turn rather quickly. Because
with the locals,
lots of guns out there in the world of wilderness.
Yeah, there's I grew up in Oregon, so I grew up in urban Oregon. But the second you are out of the urban centers of Oregon, it gets scary.
The number of cases
available. Bear trap.
Yeah, oh yeah. I live in the South now, and everyone makes fun of the South and Appalachia. I live in Appalachia in the South. And the population density here is so much greater that I could go out in the middle of the country and not feel scared at all, because realistically, there is an interstate, whatever direction, close enough. There is something. There are so many people here. Out west, growing up in Oregon, you go out there and you get out of the urban centers, you're in the middle of nowhere.
Especially Eastern Oregon and Eastern Washington. It's just nothing.
I did a camper van tour in my early 20s of southeastern Oregon, and I was lucky I had my dogs with me, because there were moments where I was like, what the hell was that? What's out there? Something. It's oh God. Okay, I've made a big mistake. Oh wait, the dogs are still asleep. They don't hear it. They don't care. Okay, I'm good. If their heads perk up, then it's start the van and go. Just floor it. Yeah. I don't care where I'm going. Just go.
If they even so much as
I'm in a horror movie. Oh God.
Yeah. But with that, that isolation, you really couldn't do a rural serial killer horror thing in real life in this Western North Carolina. There's too many people. There's just flat out too many people. The population density, even in the lower populated, the farm areas, there's still too many damn people. And everyone's armed.
Yeah. I used to read a lot of books by Tony Hillerman, and he writes about the Navajo reservation. And the conversation makes me wonder, serial killer on an Indian reservation, there would be an odd place, because they don't have a lot of tech there, I suspect.
No, they do not. They do not.
No.
You don't have to suspect they don't have a lot of tech.
Yeah. I've never been on an Indian reservation. I don't know. So I was making an educated guess.
No, it's true statement.
Yeah.
Some of them are lucky if they have TVs. So yeah, that would be a good place. There are little shit splat towns in Texas that would be fantastic, that are right on major highways where people just drive through them. What Stephen King called them bedroom communities, I think, in Salem's Lot. They're like 30, 40 miles outside of a large city, but there's a rural neighborhoods out there or whatnot.
Let me recommend Bucksnort, Tennessee for you. There you go.
Bucksnort, Tennessee.
In the middle of who the fuck knows and who the fuck cares.
I haven't got the slightest idea, but I had to go through it once when I was in the Army, and I saw their motorcycle gang, all two people sitting on the corner.
Nice.
It wasn't a gang, it was their club.
It could have been, yeah. It was, yeah. That's the name that sticks with you right there, Bucksnort, Tennessee.
I think if I wrote a serial killer novel, of course there's the tongue-in-cheek thing. Maybe literally if they're accountable, you never know. But
I knew you would go there eventually. I knew cannibals would make their way into this conversation eventually.
Oh yeah,
you just can't help yourself, and you're a vegan. It makes no goddamn sense.
It's just
he gets a visceral thrill out of being a cannibal. That's why this is.
I have no sympathy for the human animal.
Fuck that.
I mean, come on. I feel bad for the cows and the pigs and the chickens that are all caged up and living in a hellish nightmare hellscape that they're living in. But people, not that I'm eating people, more. but it would be this segues,
Not that I condone eating people, but
But
Every now and then.
this I would love to do a serial killer that kills all the super rich tourists and those that are gentrifying every square inch of Western North Carolina where I live, and then have the locals actually not care.
The local sheriff just stood there going, well, there's another one.
Yeah. Well, the police might care because the police tend to be, they're funded by the gentry. They protect the money first. But everybody else, they go out and be like, oh, we're canvassing the neighborhood. Did you see anything? Nope. But no, really, it happened right over here. Were you home that night? Maybe. Just literally have the locals not care. Be like, as long as they aren't killing locals, what you gonna
I found
do?
this dead guy in my trunk. I don't know how the hell he got there. Could you get him out?
Could you recommend a good cleaning service? Because I just cannot get that blood out.
I can't get the stink of Bubba out of the trunk. Jesus Christ.
I looked it up, by the way. Bucksnort, Tennessee has 15,000 people in it. I went through there in the mid 80s. Wow. It probably had 7 or 8,000. It was not a big place.
Oh, so it's a booming community.
Where it is?
A booming community.
Yeah. Where is it in Tennessee?
I think I've already dropped the window. I don't know. Centerville. It's in Centerville County. I think it said something like that. It's in the middle of it. I looked at the picture. It's somewhere in the middle.
Okay.
It's called Bucksnort.
Right.
Yeah, Bucksnort.
It's somewhere in the middle. Then it's north or south of around Nashville, I would guess. I don't know. Bucksnort.
Not so far away.
I'm going to look for that.
Not too far away. Now I'm going to have to look while you guys are talking.
Bucksnort. Bucksnort. Would you ever name
I'm only
Bucksnort?
Apparently so. I could maybe.
All right, now we need to make plans.
It's an unincorporated community in Hickman County.
Wow, the puns are just falling all over the place.
Yeah. And it's in the middle of the state going up and down, and in about 1/3 of the way from the left-hand side.
1/3 of the way from the left-hand. So it's past Nashville, on the way to Memphis from where I'm coming from.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah. So it's west of Nashville. Okay. Because I'm only 4 hours from Nashville. It takes 8 hours to get from here to Memphis. So to cross the entire state of Tennessee from where I'm at. So I've done that trip a lot.
That's nothing. Try to go across the state of Texas, east to west.
Oh yeah.
Have a good time.
I've gone west to east.
I'll see you in 12 or 16 hours.
We're still in Texas. Yeah.
Will this state never end?
Oh, pretty much.
But you get to see everything from desert to the piney hills or piney forest. So what are you going to do?
Yeah. You get that first drive, leaving California, go across the states, then you basically are driving Texas as the next third of your leg. And then it's the rest of the South as the final third of the leg. That's how that works. Like, we're still in Texas.
Yeah, it just never ends.
Oh,
it
yeah.
just never
I remember moving, 24 years ago, moving from Oregon to Florida. And I remember, that was a drive. And I can remember going, stopping and just looking at my wife going, we're still in Texas. She's like, oh, we're still in Texas. It's like, how does that even happen? I'm from Oregon, and that's not a tiny state.
Because we're larger than the UK.
Yeah, huge.
You can fit the UK in Texas, no problem. You can fit France in here, no problem.
Yeah,
that's why. That's
a place where you could dump some bodies if you go out to West Texas. Out there in that area there where you can't find people. You could dump a lot of bodies out there.
Yeah.
Well, if you do it right.
Well, you have to go off the road. To do it right.
I shouldn't give the serial killer Paul E. Cooley any ideas, but nonetheless, here we are.
I just, you have to do it. I mean, you can dump a body anywhere if you do it wrong, sure.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. If you want the body never to be found, West Texas might be for you.
Okay.
Behind that one hill over there with that single coyote that looks kind of mangy. Yeah, plant him right there. The coyote will take care of most of it.
I had an idea once of stashing bodies, a character stashing bodies in the lava tubes of the rivers of the Pacific Northwest. Because all those mountains, that's volcanoes. So you could stash them underwater in those lava tubes. But then I started thinking, well, there's going to be decomposition. It's going to change the ecosystem of that river somehow. That somebody's going to notice at some point. But I thought it would be a great idea. And then I actually started thinking of the science of it and the practicality of it and go, no, someone would notice at some point, and then it's all over from there.
As a serial killer, you probably should go ahead and start your own catfish farm, farm raised catfish, and then get rid of the bodies there.
Yeah.
Catfish farm, bad idea. Hog farm, better.
Yeah, everything except the teeth.
Hog is much better. They will take care of it. And we have plenty of feral pigs to go around if you need some.
We're back to hog hunting again.
We're back to hog hunting. We started out with hog hunting. We're back to hog hunting.
Well, no, we started out with hog hunting. Now we're to hog feeding.
Oh, that's right. Hog husbandry. We've now moved on to hog husbandry, which is perfectly appropriate considering the 3 swine that are on this show at the moment.
Nice.
2 swine and a cute little curly-tailed pig.
Who's the pig?
Oh, just stop. Just stop.
I'm so confused. Well, Jake, we have had you here for way too goddamn long. And as usual, I made the mistake of inviting you on. So that means I have to make the mistake I have once again, the odious privilege of, allowing you and asking you to please pimp your stuff.
Pimp my stuff. All right. You can find me at Jake Bible. Yeah. You can. I don't know what that was.
Yeah.
I'm the gopher from Caddyshack. That's what that is. I don't think you can see any style or rhythm there. That was pure rodent. Is what that was.
That's my new quote about Jake Bible. Pure rodent.
Pure rodent. That's going to be my branding. Pure rodent. All right. So you can find me at jakebible.com or at my new publication, jakebible.substack.com, which is my newsletter and podcast you can subscribe to. I have started my Writing in Suburbia podcast again. It's the Redux. So I am redoing it, kind of starting from scratch, a little less ranty, rambly, a little more structure. Although I think I will get into some of the more conversational rambles occasionally. I get to mix it up. I'm in charge. I can do whatever the hell I want.
That is correct.
But also in that podcast, I am re-releasing the original 2008 Dead Mech podcast for all the old school people. 2008, man. That's when that came out.
Recorded on a mic with pantyhose as the pop filter.
Recorded. Oh, yeah, exactly. Some old school tech, and you can hear it because I've got a brief intro in the beginning, and then you hear the old recording. It's like listening to the old radio dramas from the 40s.
Yeah, you get FM, and then suddenly you get this scratchy AM going on.
Yeah. And, the voices faded out and come back because I turned my head, but then was like, I don't want to re-record that. That's a pain in the ass. But it is kind of cool. So you can listen to that. I've got all kinds of stuff. The Apex trilogy, Dead Mech, The Americans, and Metal and Ash is available now on all your retailers, all the audiobook or ebook, or you can go to jakebible.com and I have my own store there. Grab it from me for free and just be on the lookout. Subscribe to the newsletter. Or listen to the podcast because that way you know when all the new stuff is coming out. And there is going to be new stuff constantly churned out from here on out. My break from writing is over, and I'm diving full bore into it. So yeah, that's cool. Yeah.
And y'all should check his stuff out. He writes everything from stuff like Zeburbia, which is just insane, with a fantastic main character who's just fun to listen to, fun to read, and a complete cast of lunatics. And then of course you got the Meg stuff, which is giant sharks Jake likes to write about creatures and things like
I do.
that.
I like creatures.
As
I
well as
like
space
creatures and blowing
mercenaries.
up creatures.
Yeah, blowing up creatures. Blowing up creatures is always fun. Yeah, see the sharks. So you should go check, go give Jake's stuff a look. See if you try Suburbia, I promise you will not be let down. It is absolutely hilarious. Even if you don't love like zombie books, you will like this one. And with that, I have to thank our wonderful patrons who make this show possible. And there's a couple of them here, but at the $10 level, you get your name read. And I will read those right now since this will actually go out in the show. And their names are Summer Wilson, Joshua Sylvester, Tony L. Joy, Andrew Smallwood, Veronica Jaguar, Rick Shaw, TJ Brick, Chris Winder, and Isabel Cushy. Thank you very much, patrons. We hope you enjoy today's Saturday, and you made this entirely possible so we could have Jake on the show.
Hey, anything that can class you up is good.
Fuck you. If you want to contact us about this show and what a scumbag Jake Bible and Terry are, they're kind of conjoined. It's one scumbag.
Conjoined scumbags.
It's one scumbag. It's a melded scumbag on my screen. Yeah, there it is. You can send us an email to show@devrobotssociety.com. You can tweet me at Paul_E_Cooley. Shut up. You can join us at the listeners of the Dev Robot Society Facebook group. Fuck off, Terry. You can go to youtube.com/DRS podcast to see our ugly mugs and cats and things like that. And Terry losing his mind and turning red because he's laughing so hard. And we don't know why he's laughing or in the fact that he's Terry. We have to thank our wonderful host, Pod Hoster, who makes all 14 bazillion episodes of the Dev Robot Society available for your ear holes. And if you do want to support us, you can go to patreon.com/GRS podcast, where for as little as $1 a month, you can gain access to exclusive content like today's live show. There you go. Well, Jake.
Yeah.
I can't say I'm sad about this. You know, kicking you off the show, hitting in the show.
That's really why you have me on, is just so you can get me off the show at the end.
Yeah,
so
there is a certain amount of pleasure I get in basically booting you off the window. So we're going to do that in a minute. But anyway,
thanks for hanging on, Jake. We really enjoyed it.
No, we didn't. We didn't enjoy it.
Yes, we did.
No, we didn't. We hated it.
Thank you, Terry.
Loved it.
Yeah. Well, I thank all of you,
Paul. Well, once you get some new stuff out, we'll get you back in here again to pimp your stuff.
Sounds
good. Bring you in for science fiction horror.
Woohoo!
Anyway, patrons, folks out there, enjoy and have a safe, happy Halloween, and I guess we'll see you next week or something.